Good evening and Jai Hind, dear children. Well, it gives me an immense pleasure to teach a subject like history after I really don't know how long. Anyways, so I'm just looking for your support. Do let me know whether this video was useful. Okay. So the chapter which I'm going to talk about today is it's the Unit 8, Devotional Paths to the Divine, from your history book, Our Pass, Part 2, and it is of Class 7. All right. So, if I look into the title, Devotional Paths to the Divine. So, the word divine itself, talks about your relationship with the Almighty. That means somehow this topic says that the things which we'll be talking about has to be related with the Almighty, praising the Almighty, and probably the followers, the types of followers and what they were named as. Like, all the Shiv Bhaks are, they keep on saying that they are the Param Bhakt, and then you have the other followers who follow Durga ji, and then not only that, you have many other such followers. So basically, this chapter is divided into subtopics. The very first topic which you have in your books, it is the idea of a supreme God. Okay, so devotional paths to the divine. Let's see what all we are going to study in this. So the very subtopic which I'll be talking about is the supremacy of God. That is the idea of a supreme God. That means whether the Almighty is given that pedestal, okay, of being the highest, probably the highest code of law. Okay, so before large kingdoms actually emerged, different groups of people, they used to worship their own gods and goddesses. Okay, and like each and every community, they had their own beliefs, they had their own faith. Okay, they used to regard one particular god or goddess to be their like source of giving everything, anything and everything. Okay, so as people were brought together through the growth of towns, trade, and empires, what happened? New ideas began to develop. That means wherever there used to be cities, towns, people where they used to settle down together, they used to give rise to various such settlements, and there very gradually it gave a vent to trade, and then later on it was like it expanded and came under particular subjugation of a ruler, and it gave rise to various types of empires. Okay, and this gave rise to new ideas regarding everything, regarding development of faith, development of dynasties, development of various sorts of trades. Okay, and thus all sorts of ideas started emerging very gradually. The idea that all living things pass through countless cycles of birth and rebirth, performing good deeds and bad, came to be widely accepted. That means people started believing in all sorts of faith, which was created by the human beings itself. So that means faith like supposing if I follow Durga ji, okay, so I will look into all the principles which has been laid down by people who had already been into this particular system, like my forefathers or probably their forefathers. So these principles, they have been coming down to us as a legend. Okay, and we have been following that. So that is how probably my whole family, or the upcoming generation of mine, they would be called the followers of Durga ji. All right, so now they used to have some firm beliefs, like generally in Hindu, we tend to believe in that, the rebirth. Okay, the cycles of birth and rebirth. Now this actually dependent, I mean, it is said that it is dependent on your actions. If you perform something good in your lifetime, definitely you will have a rebirth again of something good, probably some very beautiful animal, or it can be something with a positivity. Okay, now it is said that those who perform, some evil kind of deeds, or deeds which are not accepted, okay, so they have a tough time, and whatever the deeds which they do, they need to repay it during that lifetime only. And probably they have a very what should I say, sufferings they need to face and all. So their rebirth is a little different. So that is the reason why, it is always said that whatever type of seeds you reap, so that will give that type of a fruit. That means if I keep on doing good deeds without having any selfishness, or without thinking ill of others, okay, if I'm always into that giving tendency, so that means I have been doing good deeds, so I will be regarded and respected as a very respectable person. And probably the ill effects of my whole behavior, my mannerisms, will be less. Okay, and if I keep on indulging myself into evil deeds, very bad deeds, probably I would have say a narrow escape from the from the results during the rather I should say, in the meanwhile, during that time, I might be having a beautiful life, a joyous life full of wealth, prosperity, and name and fame. But the aftermath, the consequences of my evil deeds, my bad deeds, will definitely be received by me in the form of ill health, in the form of some medical issues, till I am alive. Okay, so that is the reason why we are told that always believe in the word karma, and try to do good deeds during your lifetime, because whatever you do, that will always have an effect. Okay, and that result is felt during your during your lifetime only. You cannot take it, because they say that you have to give all the, what should I say, the hisab kitab, the calculations, up up in the heaven, isn't it? And you have to give them, give the almighty a great report. The report card is made there, it's not made in the on the earth. Okay, so let's see. Now this type of belief was there in our society since ages. Okay, and we have been receiving those beliefs with full acceptance. Now the idea that all human beings are not equal even at birth gained ground during this period. That means there was that distinguish, okay, that the Brahmins, they are regarded at the top level, then you have the Kshatriya, then you have the Vaishyas, and then the lowest is occupied by the Shudras, right? So these were there, it was existing that time also. Unfortunately, the belief that the social privileges came from birth in a noble family or a high caste was the subject of many learned texts. So you see, basically there was that disparity on the basis of class. Okay, and the caste. That means the Brahmins were always regarded to be the upper caste or the high caste people. Okay, they were regarded to be very noble. All right, and to contrary to that, contrasting factor was the Shudras, who were always regarded to be the lowest. Okay. Many people were uneasy with such ideas. Definitely, there were many people who did not, had a belief in that. Okay. And they turned to the teachings of Buddhas or the Jainas, according to which it was possible to overcome social differences and break the cycle of rebirth through personal effort. Okay. So there were many people who did not believe a single bit in this, rebirth principle, the principle of rebirth. Okay, so what did they believe at? They actually believed in the principle of Buddha or Jainism. Okay, and they wanted to break the cycle of this rebirth through their own effort. All right. Others felt attracted to the idea of the Supreme God. Now, this was about only some group of people. But what about the others? They still had their firm belief in the supremacy of God, that there is only one God and God is great and nobody or no one is supreme than this Almighty, who could deliver humans from such bondage if approached with devotion. So what they firmly believed was that, one needs great devotion to this Almighty. Okay. And it should be a true devotion. Okay. And there should be that originality, that purity from heart. All right. So that was what they believed. And they firmly believed in what? The supremacy of God. And they demanded what? True bhakti. True devotion was termed to be bhakti. Now, this idea, advocated in Bhagavad Gita, grew in great popularity, which century? In this early centuries of the Common Era. Okay, so Shiva, Vishnu, and Durga as supreme deities came to be worshipped through elaborate rituals. So as I was talking about that, there are many people who, who tend to follow Shivji. There are many people who tend to follow Durga ji, yet there are many people who follow Vishnu ji. And not only this, you have so many other, you have followers of Krishna, you have follow of Sai Baba, you have the follow of Kali ji, you have the follow of Hanuman ji, right? So, but during this time, the three main deities who were, you can say were ruling were Shiva, Vishnu, and Durga. Okay. At the same time, gods and goddesses worshipped in different areas came to be identified with Shiva, Vishnu, or Durga. So wherever they were, all these people, they started worshipping these deities. So they were identified to be the followers of Shiv, followers of Durga ji, and the followers of Vishnu ji. Okay. In the process, what happened? Local myths and legends, they became a part of the Puranic stories, and methods of worship recommended in the Purans were introduced into the local cities. Now what happened? This gave rise to local myths, small legends and stories, and they became a part of a Puranic story. It's something like fables, something like Amar Chitra Katha, which you must have heard or read about. So they started getting accumulated and they created into Puranic stories, and methods of worship recommended in the Purans were introduced. Okay, that means in the Puran, those holy books, in these books, it's all the principles are written in Ved, in Purans. So they were introduced to the local cults. All right. Eventually, what happened? The Purans also laid down that it was possible for the devotees to receive the grace of God regardless of their caste status. Now, there is another twist here. The twist is that the Puran also lays down something like, a principle that whatever, you do, you get reward for that, as I had told you. Now, it is also written somewhere in Puran that the devotees, they also received the grace of God, the grace of the Almighty, without any regard to, or without any inhibition regarding your caste. Okay, without any demarcation of your caste. The idea of bhakti thus became so popular that even Buddhists and Jainas adopted these beliefs. Okay, so this bhakti system grew so much of so much importance that even the Buddhists and the Jains, they started adopting these beliefs. Okay, so basically this first subtopic, the idea of supreme God, calls for the belief that there were people who used to believe in the supremacy of God, and they used to do what? They used to go for the bhakti, the true bhakti. True bhakti means true devotion to the Almighty. Okay, and then what did we talk about? We talked about those people who used to follow three main deities. And what were they? The Shivji, then you have the Vishnuji, then you have Durgaji. Okay, and very gradually what happened? They started spreading everywhere, and then this gave rise to the local myths, the legends. They became part of the Puranic stories, and then what was introduced? These things were introduced in the local cults. Okay, and then before that, what did I talk about? I talked about one thing, that there were many people who used to believe in the rebirth. Okay, and there were some people who were against these, and what did they do? They used to follow the principles of Buddhism and Jainism. Okay, so this is basically all about the very first topic, that is the idea of a supreme God. Okay, it's on page number 104 and 105 in your history books. Children, do let me know whether it has cleared your doubts, and then I'll see you in my next video with the next subtopic, which is a new kind of bhakti in South India, which were the two, that is the Jnanars and the Alvars. See you till then. Keep learning and please go through this chapter on your own. Till then, bye-bye. Take care. Thank you and Jai Hind.